In Parshat Bo, we find the ninth plague, darkness. At first, the plague seems simple enough. The Egyptians were subject to darkness, lights out. However, a careful reading of the text, along with Midrashic sources, reveals much more detail about the plague itself and why it was done. When Hashem gives Moshe the instructions, he said, Ve'yatmesh hachoshech, which is translated as, and the darkness can be felt. It is clear from these two words that the darkness wasn't simply an ordinary darkness that comes from an absence of light, but something supernatural and tangible. From this, Rashi says that instead of the normal darkness that occurs at night, there's a thick darkness that was darker than normal, which the Egyptians could feel. Our Barbanel adds to this idea by asking the question, if it was a simple darkness, then why didn't the Egyptians just light candles so that they could see? Sforno answers that the normal darkness of the night was taken away and was replaced with a thicker darkness that it was impossible to light in. So, why were the Egyptians punished with darkness in particular? While the Egyptians worshipped many gods, their chief god was Ra, the god of the sun. Thus, by blocking out the sun, Hashem was defeating their chief god. In addition to punishing the Egyptians, the plague prepared the Jewish people for their own future exodus. The Midrash in Shemot Rabbah brings up a reason for the plague. The Jews that had assimilated into Egyptian culture to the point of no longer being regarded as part of the nation died during the plague so that the Egyptians wouldn't see the Jews suffer along with them. In addition, the Jews would search the Egyptians' home for the location of their valuables so that they could borrow them when they left Egypt. In our Parsha, we are presented with the last three plagues. While all plagues were punishments for the Egyptians, these three in particular had the added function of preparing the Jews for the Exodus. This was a process which started with the plague of locusts. When the Torah describes the plague of locusts, nowhere does it state that Jewish crops were spared. Therefore, the Jews had no more crops and had to start depending on Hashem for their food. In the plague of darkness, despite the Jews having light, the Midrash said that as many as 4/5 of the population died during the plague, leaving only the Jews that were worthy of redemption. Finally, the Jews had to put the blood of the Pesach offering on their doorposts in order to be spared from Makkah Bechorot, which is their first experience of a commandment from Hashem. Therefore, while the plagues are meant as punishment for the Egyptians, the final three plagues, the ones discussed in this week's Parsha, were also meant to move the Jews towards trusting in Hashem